activity at the scene of the Villisca axe murder. The three-bedroom farmhouse at 508 East 2nd Street in Villisca, Iowa was purchased by Darwin and Martha Lynn in 1994 with the intention of transforming it into a museum. The home's simplistic design is reminiscent of a dollhouse, giving it a look that is common to thousands of quaint rural residences across the United States. The Lynns wanted to restore the house to its former glory, a status that ended abruptly in 1912, more on that in a minute, so that it could serve as an interactive time capsule and provide a glimpse into the typical Midwestern family's daily life in the early 20th century. The Lynns were eager to hear what else the walls had to say. Unexpectedly, after the Lynns purchased the house, they were inundated with requests from paranormal investigators who wanted to visit the home and speak with the spirits of the people who had previously lived there and tragically died there. Despite the fact that the couple had never heard of this occupation before, they quickly realized that the little white Villisca farmhouse, possibly the most familiar-looking house in the most familiar-looking town in the country, was haunted and that the museum should reflect its deep, dark history. Josiah B. Moore, 43, his wife Sarah, 39, their 4 children Herman, 11, Catherine, 10, Arthur, 7, and Paul, 5, as well as 2 young guests, Ina, 8, and Lena Stillinger, 12, were all brutally murdered in the house on a single terrible evening in 1912. The case shook the small but bustling town, and then went cold. Aside from the brutality and tragedy of the crime itself, the hidden attic, the locked interior door, and the linens covering every window and mirror in the house are among the most unsettling aspects of the scene. Despite the fact that every possible suspect and line of inquiry was eventually deemed to be fruitless, the tale of the Villisca house continued on indefinitely due to the lingering hauntings, which can be interpreted either as the actual spirits of the victims or as the symbolic trauma of an unresolved tragedy. There have been multiple owners of the home in the past century, and reports of paranormal activity only keep piling up. Some of the strange things that have happened at the Villisca axe murder house include disembodied laughter and screams, unexplained movements, a strange fog that moves from room to room when the train passes through town at the time of the murders, and strange behavior from visitors that suggests the possibility of possession. Ghosts or no ghosts, the events of 1912 still make the house a terrifying place to visit, ensuring that it deserves to be considered one of the most haunted in the United States. During the month of November 2014, the haunting became more sinister. The true horror struck when 37-year-old Robert Stephen Larson Jr. of Rhinelander, Wisconsin was on a routine recreational paranormal visit with friends. In the words of Vice, his friends found him with a stab wound to the chest, which appeared to have been self-inflicted. They called 911, and Larson was taken to a local hospital before being flown by helicopter to Creighton University Medical Center in Omaha. The sheriff's office in Montgomery County, Maryland, reported that Larson accidentally stabbed himself at 12:45 a.m., not long after the 1912 axe murders began in the same house. Larson made a full recovery despite his injuries, but he has never discussed what happened that day in public. The Villisca axe murder house is now a paranormal hotel, charging $428 per night for a stay for a group of 6 people or less. Space is at a premium, so bring your own sleeping bag, not that you'll be using it. When we called Martha, she told us that when guests arrive, she just hands them the keys and leaves. But that's the catch: if it's really as haunted as it's said to be, they probably won't be the only ones there. Martha prefers not to share details of her own paranormal encounters at the inn so as not to influence the guests' impressions of the place. However, when we inquired as to the identities of the specters, she offered the following explanation: "I think I'm sensing something. You must acknowledge that if there are ghosts, 6 of them are children. It's unclear to me whether the murderer is still at large, but there have been some unsettling events of late.